I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, the stats just came out for October from the Greater Vancouver Real Estate Board. I always throw this in, the only true source for statistics is from the Greater Vancouver Real Estate Board. Be very cautious with any other stats packages you see out there, because generally, from what I see, they're usually manipulated or massaged to try and come up with some sort of a narrative that the Vancouver market is slowing or sales are down or we're headed for a crash or whatever. Who knows what the market's going to do going forward here, but for right now, the Vancouver real estate market remains incredibly strong. Strong seller's market. So just give you some numbers here quick. Sales are up 22% over our 10-year average for October. They were up 11% increase from October of 2020, a year ago. That's on top of record low inventory. And that's the important thing to look at here. We probably would have sold, well, I know we would have sold far more homes if we had more homes to sell. And, I've got a number of buyers I'm working with right now. We're on a holding pattern, wait and see, looking at the MLS every day, waiting for good listings to hit. And that's the way it is across the board for most of the Lower Mainland right now. Let's move on to the sales to active listings ratio. This is the one stat I always throw out when I review the statistics from the board, because it is a nice, clean stat. You see these news articles, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. Vancouver sales slow, or prices are holding, are treading water. They can massage these statistics however they want. The sales to active listings ratio combines sales, but it also looks at what the inventory is. Because sales could drop 30%, but if the reason they drop 30% is because there's nothing to sell, well, the market can still be incredibly strong in that type of situation. But the sales to active listings ratio, currently 33% for detached, 46% for condos. And I've never seen this stat this high. For townhomes, 64% active sales to listings ratio. Now remember, anything over 20 is considered a seller's market. Anything between 12 and 20 is balanced. Anything below 12 is considered a buyer's market. As I've said oftentimes on the blog here, maybe 1 year out of every 10 we get into a buyer's market, and it's usually pretty short-lived. But I can attest to that. Townhomes are as rare as hen's teeth. I also saw a stat here saying that townhomes have doubled in price in the last 10 years, and that's spot on. I went back and looked at some townhomes that I sold 10 years ago, and yeah, they've pretty much doubled across the board in Richmond, Vancouver, Burnaby, New Westminster, pretty much 100% return over the last 10 years or so. Now, I've had a couple of townhomes I just recently sold in the last month, and I can attest that both got into some crazy bidding wars, and I set new record setting prices for the strata. I'll get a little frontline story here and tie it into tenanted properties, because I know you guys like these frontline stories. I had a really nice townhome listing that I put out a couple weeks ago. The unit was tenanted. Now, we started working with the tenants on this about 3 months ago. As you guys know, I do not like to sell tenanted properties because we're leaving money on the table, pretty much always. It can be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on our selling price. My seller understood that. We offered the current tenants a very generous package to sign a mutual agreement to end tenancy, and we were willing to give them up to 2 months to vacate if they signed the mutual agreement to end tenancy. A very nice monetary reward for that. They said, give us a couple of weeks, let us look on the market and see what's out there. Well, I knew that was going to be difficult, and I told them that. These tenants had been in the unit for 7.5 years, currently paying $1,700 a month for a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath townhome. Going rate for that townhouse now is probably closer to about $2,400 a month. They understood that. They also kind of wanted to stay in this neighborhood, which I told them was going to be difficult. Mostly single-family detached homes, very little townhomes, and you're definitely not getting a townhouse under $2,400 or $2,500 a month. A couple of weeks later, they called us back and said, we can't find anything. So we were forced then to say, well, we'll have to move on to plan B. I'm going to list it in a couple of weeks. And as you know, Mr. Tenant, let's work together on this. But the new buyer, chances are they are going to be an end user. They're not going to be an investor. They're going to want to move into the unit and give you 2 clear months notice, and then you'll have to be out. They understood that. Ended up listing the home. All I needed, fortunately, working with these tenants, I said, just give me 2 hours on Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday. I'm working around them. They've got 3 kids. The place is a mess. Cluttered, things packed to the ceiling. Again, 5 of them living in a 3-bed, small 3-bed, only 1 full bath here. Toys everywhere, things stacked. This unit had been renovated about 8 years ago, but it was hard to tell. There was so much stuff. Fortunately, the market's so strong. Just give me a 2-hour window Saturday, Sunday. I'll look at offers on Monday. Ended up getting multiple offers, ended up getting an accepted offer way over asking price with subjects. Subject conditions lasted a week. Last day before subject removal, the buyer's realtor calls me up and says they can't get the financing approved. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was buyer's remorse. Sometimes I get 2 or 3 of these every year where the deal collapses. It's a combination of the both. When you're in a bidding war and you're paying way over asking, buyer's remorse is high, and we were setting an all-time price record for this complex. No problem. All you can do is start from square one again and start showing the property. Called up all the other realtors that had offered on it, told them I'm going to show it again this weekend. Offer night will be Monday again. I never will go and look at an offer from one of the unsuccessful parties. I always want to put that home back on the market for 3 or 4 days and show it, at least for a weekend. Because during that 1 week subject removal time, of course, I had 15 calls on the property asking, is it still available? So we rounded them up, showed it again on Saturday and Sunday, had about 22 parties through. This time, we ended up getting an accepted offer over asking, subject free, all cash, which I love. That's what I was looking for. So now I've given the tenant, filed the property manager anyways, the form that the new owner is going to live in it, and we've now given the tenant the 2 clear months. Now the tenant got a little lucky. The previous sale, we removed the subjects would have been removed October 29th. This one, we got the firm offer subject free on November 2nd. So it bought them an extra month. We now have to give them all of November, all of December, all of January. So the contract is written as a February 1st vacant possession. Otherwise, these people would have been moving out on New Year's Day, January 1st. So, and by the way, we set a all-time price record for this strata, about $75,000 higher than the last high sell in here, which was about 11 months ago. And, again, I was a little bit hamstrung, limited with this unit. Limited showing times. The unit did not show well at all. That's why we wanted to get them out, and we're willing to compensate them handsomely for it. Because we would have gotten them out, cleaned the unit up, made some minor little repairs, paint, that kind of thing. I would have virtually staged it, showcased the backyard and the deck, which was piled with junk. Couldn't even see the deck. So I probably left 15, 20K on the selling price, really. My seller knew that, but what could we do? These people, didn't want to go. But now they are going to go. And I do feel sorry for these tenants. Very nice couple. I had lengthy conversations with them. Fortunately, I don't have to deal with tenants very often, but once or twice a year I do, and this was one of them. And they are in a real pickle here. They want to get a townhouse in the neighborhood they've been in and the kids are going to school in for the past 7.5 years. But it's not going to happen. It's mostly single-family homes. The townhomes in there, other than this complex, are much more high-end townhomes that they're probably looking at over $3,000 for a month, and there's none for rent anyways. I've kind of been helping him out a bit. He's going to have to go to another neighborhood and well away from where he is now, but we'll see what happens. But this is that rental trap. Remember I did the story on that CBC story this past summer about that couple in Kelowna that were renting a house for 7 or 8 years with 3 young kids. Landlord sells the house. They were paying $1,800 a month, and now they're looking at $3,000 a month and more to rent the same type of home. I do feel for these people, but at the same time, you have to ask yourself, what were they thinking here? When you're a renter like this with kids and in there for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and you're starting to pay way, way below market rent, which of course the NDP has made even worse because A, they put a moratorium on rent increases, and then they had the audacity that landlords have always been able to raise the rent by CPI, inflation rate, plus 2%. But the NDP, that was too much. Now, what is the increase this year is going to be something like 2.5%. And going forward, it's only going to be CPI, not 2%. Meanwhile, the landlord's costs to hold these properties is going up double digits. Property tax is going up double digits. The insurance has gone up 100% on most of these stratas or more. Maintenance fees are going up double digits every year. The cost to maintain and repair and handyman has gone up double digits. The cost for materials to put in a new floor, new kitchen cabinets, or new appliances has gone up substantially. So this is what you're getting here. Landlords that are saying, well, enough is enough. They're paying $600 below market rent. We're not going to sell this to an investor because they're not going to assume the tenant. I'm going to sell it. I've made a lot of money on this. The townhouse, this particular guy had owned this townhouse for almost 20 years. So he's sitting on a tremendous amount of capital gain. As a matter of fact, this townhouse, my last sale in this complex was 2 years ago. I sold that for $200,000 less than what I just sold this one for. So hey, I'm going to take my marbles, sell it, and leave the playground. Money can go anywhere it wants to. And that's something that I've been pounding home here with government. They speak with forked tongue. The NDP will tell you that we're going to help you renters by freezing rents, by coming down on the greedy landlord. But what they don't realize is that money can flow wherever it wants to. And if the landlord's costs are going up more than 2 or 3 times what they can raise the rent, eventually it gets to a point where enough is enough and I'm going to sell it. And guess what? The new owners on most of these homes, whether it's a condo or a townhome or even a detached home, which I've seen a lot of investors selling lately, they're not going to be investors. They're going to be end users. So there's another rental property off the market, which just squeezes supply even tighter. It's just simple economics that you never want to hear anyone really. I don't see the odd person start to address this, but you certainly won't hear the NDP talk about any of this. They're making the problem much worse for people, for tenants. They are. There's no doubt about it. But I do feel for these tenants. I'm not a heartless realtor. I'm thankful that I don't have to deal with these situations. It's not fun. I've told the guy I'm more than willing to give you, they're good tenants, good people. But I feel for them. But they are in a jam now. They're going to have to find a place. They are not going to be able to stay in this particular neighborhood. They're going to have to go to a less expensive neighborhood further out if they want anything. But that's what's going on right now. Market's tight. I am starting to see, some long-term investors, especially on townhomes and detached homes, because the cap rates aren't great on those. They're best cap rates on a one bed, saying enough is enough. But townhouse market extremely strong right now, as you can see with the sales tax acquisition on the condo market and the detached market. How long it'll continue, who knows? Stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update later this winter. I think as long as interest rates stay low, they're going to be going up. No place to go but up from here. But with the low interest rates we've got right now, we would have to have a substantial rate increase, I think, to do any real damage to it. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. See you next week.